if you get involved too much, your child will never feel what it's like to actually, mediate their own argument. They'll never be able to negotiate or to resolve a disagreement. So there has that fine line, and that's something there again, we can't tell a parent how to do that. You just have to kind of find that sweet spot yourself. But those are the two things that we see most commonly harm the kids the most. Not getting involved at all, or getting involved on everything. And in fact, it's surprising how many schools we go into, the principals aren't worried necessarily about the kids fighting online. It's the parents fighting with each other online. Yeah?
You said the two things. What was the first one?
What's illegal? So, if one of the take-homes we'd like you to send is, do not take images of yourself with pictures of your body exposed that should be covered by a bathing suit. That's good touch bad stuff. That's safety town stuff. That's updating for the digital world. It used to be, do not let somebody touch you in a part of your body that should be covered up by a bathing suit. That's called a bad touch, right? Digitally, we've upgraded it and say, don't send images of yourself showing parts of your body that should be covered up by a bathing suit. That's a huge, huge thing, particularly if they're under the age of 18. That gets them into legal difficulties that we don't have time for tonight to talk about. And the second piece is making sure that they get how that impacts them, not how that impacts us as parents. Can we started 5 minutes late. I'm hoping we can go 5 minutes more. If you guys don't revolt, we'll go 5 minutes more. And then if there's
We'll just lock the doors.
time for a couple, most people leave. And so let's just do a couple of things, a couple of more things, and then finish with a few steps, simple steps to do right now. And this kind of leads into it. So in your brain, here's what parents say they do. The 94% of the parents who say they talk to kids and do something to monitor it, they either track the location of the cell phone. My wife is doing that right now. My son, he's a senior over at Taunton. He's like, he doesn't like when I'm out at night. And one time, Don and I had to split up and do separate presentations. And Don's like, God, Tim, I need the stuff you have tomorrow morning. I'll meet you at Panera, and can we just switch them? I'm like, yeah, okay. So I pull in there, and then we start yakking to each other, and we lose track of time, and I leave. And I get home, and my wife's like, Jonathan said, I don't know what he's doing, but he's pulled into a location I'm not aware of, Panera at Mill Run. He's been there for 10 minutes. It says that they are closed, And I'm like, so, yeah, you can track us. Where's my iPhone thing? Do you use parent controls to restrict the phone itself? Do you use controls from a computer, a desktop or a laptop? Do you look at cell phone messages of the kids? Do you check a social media profile? These are all things you can choose to do as a parent. Or do you check the websites by going to history that the kids have visited? Well, I put this all at 50%, right? So let's take a minute and think about which of these things. You can do any of these things. You can do. And then I'll show you in the next slide how this stacks up. So if you just click that on. All right, first one. This is the percent of people, so if you click it again, bro. Over 60% of parents check the websites that their kids have visited.
Can we all agree that's a good idea?
That's a very good idea.
And if you check the history and there are big gaps missing, what does that mean? Okay?
And yeah, that's a
My
thing to talk
suggestion is
about.
to have this rule that nothing gets deleted from history.
Does that make sense? Okay, check the social media profile. About as many people do this. By the way, this is reverse. Okay, go again. Look at messages, fewer did that. Parent controls, yeah. Use controls, now it's getting trickier. Okay, so those are some parenting techniques, strategies. Don, we've raised awareness. What are a couple things you'd recommend just from 40,000 students later and looking kids in the eye who did things like we
tell you what, the best thing you can do is take real-world parenting techniques and adopt them to the digital world.
Does that make sense?
Now, a couple of really good ones. Let's do curfew. You have a curfew for your kid in the physical world. So in the digital world, have an online curfew. And the reason why I say this is that a lot of times when we investigate predators, we can see their activity when they're online, when they're trying to talk to kids. And the most common times are between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m., that latchkey time,
Right.
where they can talk
Prime
to kids
time
without
for
parents
juvenile
being around,
crime.
or after 10 p.m. at night. You know, so that's a really good one. In addition to that, what you might want to do is might want to make sure your kid knows that if there's an issue, you would much rather have them come to you before it gets totally out of control. And maybe there's one of those things where you're like, hey, listen, you come to me with the problem, we'll solve it together, and then we'll negotiate what happens to you afterwards. Because a lot of kids are afraid they're going to get their privileges taken away.
Here's why. Kids are really good at manipulating social media to attract attention to themselves. They're not so good at dealing with the unwanted attention that comes after. We're good at that. They're not. And that's why that's a really smart strategy. Don't hammer them so it goes underground, but talk to me so we can negotiate this unwanted attention you're getting.
And another thing that I do is that when we talk to kids, I tell them, come up with 3 people. 3 people that are adult, make good decisions, and you and your family trust. So that if you're really uncomfortable going to mom and dad about something, they have a backup plan. You know, that way they will talk to some adult who's responsible.
Our oldest is 30. I can tell you that my senior in high school will talk to him about things he won't talk to me about. I know he does. And I like it.
I'd say my last one is if you don't want parenting software or monitoring software on the computer, just institute something called a freeze policy. You walk in the room, you say freeze, your hands come off the device, and you can see whatever is going on there. Okay? Those are some really good ones. What about you?
Yeah. I think nothing good happens after midnight. Anybody Buckeye fans? Follow the misdemeanor madness that was happening this fall? When did those 2 dudes get in trouble? After midnight. Nothing good happens after midnight. Devices off after midnight. The second is look at their device and ask them to teach you about things that are unfamiliar to you. Ask them to teach you about that. Third thing is if you can, institute it like Don said, so that they have to have a password to download or pay for apps that go on that device. And that's your account that goes into it, so that you know everything that's being downloaded and being paid for. If you can do that, you're well ahead of the game.
You're doing more than most people.
Adam has our email addresses. If you're interested in emailing questions to us or concerns, thank you for coming out on this cold night. Most of all, thank you for sending good kids to this wonderful school. When I was touring it a month ago, I was really impressed with the kids there. So y'all doing something right. I don't know what that is. So thank you. Good luck to you guys. Good luck in navigating the digital world.